Hey, what's up, guys? So glad that you could join me here today. I'm Jay from Contractor AI, and today I'm going to be going through a very simple system that you can use in your business today in order to bring down your overhead costs and really start to use data to improve performance with your team, subcontractors, with suppliers. All right. So I've had this in my business for about the last 6 months or so. And I've been able to reduce my labor costs 21.86%. Now that might not sound like a lot to most that are out there, but we were already running a pretty efficient business. So adding this really increased, what we were already doing well at. For most guys that I see and most guys that we work with and consult with, this is one area that really kind of gets away from them. They don't really know what to do in terms of, keeping their team on track and, getting through all the noise that's going on in their business. So I'm really, really happy to kind of bring this to the table for you guys. And what we'll be looking at today is just a full end-to-end system that you can use and that you can implement into your business today. That's going to help you to evaluate job performance. All right. So let's get into it first. A couple of things before we get started. I just want to make sure that I'm really clear with everybody that could be watching this. These systems work best when you have a business that is operating on some sort of structure. Okay. So we're going to talk a little bit about SOPs, a little bit about, what we should be doing. But the way I'll put it to you is that if you want to run a very successful contracting business these days, you're going to have to really focus on being data driven. Okay. And to be data driven means we have to be disciplined. We have to get our team on track. It doesn't necessarily mean more complicated or more time, but it does require you to think about these things ahead of time and really plan your projects. Okay. So I'm just going to put a disclaimer out there. I mean, this is not a magic pill or, a 30-day abs. If you have terrible systems and, you're not willing to put the time into working on those, which I'm going to give you today, a full end-to-end system, you will probably not get too much benefit from this and, or benefit really from anything. So if you aren't looking at improving the systems, this is really not for you. Okay, so let's get into this. First things first, we're going to be using two things today. One is I'm going to be giving you a document that you can go through. And for anybody that is unfamiliar with ChatGPT, you're going to need a ChatGPT subscription. You can use the free version as well, just as you get started. And what we're going to do is basically do version 1. Now, I've been able to fully automate this and, I'll go through everything, all those details with you. But we're going to use a really simple form. I want this training to be, practical, something you can implement today. So if you don't know about ChatGPT, I've given you some instructions here. Go, you can use the free version if you need to. If you wanted to upgrade the $20 a month, it's the very first page of this document. All right. Second, for guys that are unclear on, what an actual productivity assessment is, I'm going to briefly touch on that. Every job that we do, okay, should follow a set of planned instruction or planned tasks. Okay. If we don't have those and we're not sure of them, what I've done here is basically I've given you a prompt that will allow you to put the information in about your business specifically, whether you're looking at a subcontractor or a team or anything that you're having an issue with, supplier. All right. And it's going to give you some information so that you can start to really figure out what data points you should actually be analyzing and what insights we should be looking at. Okay. So, if we wanted to go ahead, we could take this prompt here. All right. And these are called, again, ChatGPT prompts. So we're going to have a quick peek at these. So we started a new chat. I recommend using GPT-4. All right. And we're going to put this in here. And I'm going to keep this as team for now. And I'm going to use my company name. And again, for anyone that's never used it, I do highly recommend that you start off with the first prompts. We're only going to be using a few prompts today, so not to worry if you're not familiar with it. Again, just follow the instructions here. It's pretty self-explanatory, and we're just going to leave all of this stuff in, and we'll say job budgeting. So any area that you're having an issue or that you suspect that you're having a problem, it's going to give you a very basic kind of understanding of that. Okay, I'm also going to be giving you some forms, but you'll see it starts to basically generate some objectives, some metrics, some data. And really what we're doing here, guys, just so you know, is I'm warming up ChatGPT to actually understand the problem we're trying to solve. Okay, so we're going to let that go ahead. It's going to give you some very good instructions, but it's still going to be a little bit off, and we're going to get it tuned up, pretty much on the next ones here. Okay, so you'll see that I have a secondary prompt that I want to use. Okay, I'm going to skip these ones here. For you guys, I highly recommend that you go through them, start to develop your assessment. Okay, looking at all the metrics. Now, what I've done is basically built out ones that are for builders. So if you're a builder or contractor, like that's doing renovations, this is going to be essentially how we're going to set this up. So first things first, we should be looking at always planning our project ahead. We want to go through a full thorough check. The reason we want to do this is, number one, most problems that occur in the field, all right, or in production are a result of the sales to production handoff. Okay, and I'm sure we can all relate to that. So I've included in here some SOPs. And we're just going to quickly grace over them. Again, everybody's business is a little bit different, but it's very important that we start off every job making sure that all of the administrative items, all of the contracts, everything has been completed prior to a job actually beginning. Now, I know some of you probably rolling your eyes at me that there's no way if you're a one-man show. I get it. I understand. But let's assume it for a second that you have 5 things on a piece of paper that you need to check off before you start your job. Boom. You have your first SOP. Okay. Don't get into the habit of thinking your SOPs need to be complicated or long-winded. Now, I've given you guys, a very general look. We actually use these ones in my business. And it's basically, again, it's a complete checklist of items that need to be done in our pre-project planning. Okay. And again, you guys can go through all of this, but this is basically so that we can analyze where the job actually came off the tracks. And this is especially helpful for people that have, project managers, have estimators, where you have a lot of moving parts. This is absolutely critical. You can't survive or exist without it for very long or do very well. So again, I've given you guys a general overview. For guys that are just working on their own, my suggestion to you, like I said, you can have a 5 or 6, whatever it takes, a checklist of all the things that need to be done prior to the job. So the job is starting the exact same way every single time, so that when there is a problem, let's say that occurred in planning, we can go back and make some adjustments, all right? And that problem won't end up happening again, okay? So the big thing that I'm going to try and emphasize with you and why we would analyze and why we would do all of these things, all of that is useless, all right, if we're not setting ourselves up for success, if we're not starting every project, again, in a very structured way, as structured as we can be. I mean, again, it's never going to be perfect, all right? And this is going to allow us to diagnose where problems are occurring, okay? So next, we're going to be keeping a daily log or daily records of everything that goes on, okay? So for, again, some of you guys have site managers, project managers. There's a lot of information that goes on if you're dealing with a lot of subcontractors. We want to make sure that we have an effective log in place, and I've given you guys some examples of these. That's going to allow us to see all the little things that went on during the project, whether they're relevant or not. We want to make sure that everything's being recorded, okay, in one way or another. And nowadays, we have so much technology and so many different devices and things that we can use to really keep this information, all right? Now, with my business, I use a tool called ClickUp. We've been able to automate a lot of those, planning things into place. We use another product called Company Cam, and basically all the contact, all the conversations, all the incidents, everything that goes on the job is recorded. Okay. And we've got our team really locked into this and understanding that, information on these jobs is absolutely critical, because we're not trying to make the same mistakes over and over again. We want to actually be consistently improving on every single job. And really what this whole system is going to be able to do for you is start to gamify your production. Okay. So I want to give you guys an example of why we would do this. And I'll try and explain it as simple as way I can. most contractors set their teams up for failure almost from the very beginning. And then when they do get out onto the field, all right, it's like they're playing a game of hockey or football, but they're not keeping score. They don't have nets. There's no lines, no rules, and they're expecting their team to score and win the game. All right. It just doesn't work like that unless we have a very clear set of rules and ways to show our team what is the example of good or bad. We're just never going to make those improvements. And what's going to end up happening is you're going to be on the job and you're going to be continuously kind of bitching at your guys and, oh, you should have done that. You should have done this. You should have done that. And that's a very low level way to manage your business. And it's not going to help productivity. It's actually going to lower productivity. Okay. So I learned this a long time ago. The difference between, sort of being above the line and below the line. Below the line, non-productive management skill is to go out and say, I would have done it like this, or you should have done it like that, or why'd you screw up this? Why'd you screw up that? Because people in general will just shut down. And it's because you're not really giving context. Mistakes will continue to happen over and over again. It's only when we can really document, we can stand back and, train, add things to it, make adjustments that you will see real meaningful improvements. Okay. So back to, what we're trying to get from every project that we do is that we want to be able to not make the same mistakes twice. Okay. We're going to make mistakes, no doubt about it, especially if you're, building a new team, it's going to happen. But I have one rule. I don't mind if it happens once. Okay. But if it happens twice, then, now we have a real problem on our hands and I'm going to be a lot more aggressive about it. And the way we eliminate having a lot of mistakes over and over again, or repeated mistakes, or, bad patterns that lead to no profits and, owners just running around in circles and not having productivity or, freedom in their time is, again, not understanding the lessons learned that can be taken from every project. Okay. So again, I'm giving you a very simple log. It can be filled in daily. It can be filled in, by your administrators, by whoever your production manager, but it's one central place of truth. And I don't care if you use this form or not. You can use a Google Doc. It doesn't really matter. It's really about the structure that you're going to follow. So as we go through this document here, basically this is a list of names of people that are on the project. This is going to be, our trade contractor performance evaluation, general. I'll get into the single trade in a second. All right. And it's very simple. We're going to fill this out regularly. We're going to hold our team accountable to it. All right. Next, we're going to look at our performance reports. We want to make sure that we have everything here. And then if there was a problem or an issue or something that can be improved, it's being documented. Okay. Again, really simple on a daily basis if you fill this out. And it means a ton when you start to accumulate that data, when you start to bring in those little pieces of information that can be lost, or that we just, we take and just assume it's part of the day-to-day, information. So the next we're going to look at are performance and financial matters. Okay. So again, these really need to be questions of yes, no. All right. Every job needs to start with a budget. There's, that's one of the 10 contracting commandments. If you didn't know how much money you were supposed to make on every job in terms of profit, then you really are already putting yourself at a disadvantage. Very important. I have some job costing training. If you're interested, or if you're struggling with that, just reach out to us, let us know. So I have a couple of questions set up here. Again, fairly generic. Some of these will change for you and your business specifically. All right. But overall, if you're just a general contractor or builder, this is going to be the gist of what you want to have when you go to try and do a post-job evaluation. Okay. So next, we're going to look at what a single trade, a little bit simpler. Okay. We're going to get it down to the financials and estimating. We want to make sure that first we rule out that problem. Was it an estimating problem? Was it a sales problem? All right. And that's going to be very easy to tell. What did we estimate? What was our estimated cost? What was our final cost? And what was our estimated profit? And what was our actual profit? Those are very good indicators to see if your estimating, put it in a box, is on or off. Okay. And then were there any cost overruns? Just a couple of questions here, again, very general. Were there any change orders that affected the cost? Okay. We want to, again, use the same structure repeatedly over and over again and making small so that we can really evaluate where our problems started and be able to correct those problems. One mistake that I see a lot, and I don't want you to make it, is where we try to change too many things at once and we don't really know what works, right? or some of us get anxious and we start, making big changes, and then we, don't get quite through them, and we kind of revert back to what we were doing. This is probably the most inefficient way to improve performance. It's not going to work. It's going to give your guys the bad message. So again, here's a very simple day-to-day strategy that's going to allow you to keep the information that's important, the most important, okay, without complicating this, okay? So again, if you're a single trade, there's not too many things in this document that will really be outside of this evaluation. Now, I know if, again, there's going to be exceptions, as I'm sure you guys are going to tell me about it, but overall, this is a pretty solid document. Again, it's meant to be simple. You can fill this thing out on a daily basis. It doesn't take much time. And at the end of every job, which is really, really important. So at the end of the job is where we're going to get the real value from filling one of these out. And then as they accumulate, that's where we're going to really start to see the patterns. And actually, we don't need to, put our time and our brains and all of our energy into trying to evaluate and analyze it. And I'm going to show you how exactly ChatGPT can help you do this. Okay. So again, safety concerns, but here's the section that's going to be, what's most important is what are the 3 lessons that we learned from this project? All right. And what's recommended for future projects. Okay. So what I've done here is I filled out one for a mock project, and we're going to take our prompt that goes with this that I've shared with you up here. All right. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take this prompt and I'm going to put it into ChatGPT. Okay. And we'll put this in for team and just take these out. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to include my document. So again, you can assume, again, guys, if you are filling this out, this took me 5 minutes to fill out. You can get your admin. I mean, I really encourage you to have your team fill this out, not yourself personally. They'll get a lot more value. This needs to be a team effort, and we need to be making time to actually go through these evaluations to make them effective. But you'll notice this is not a lot of time, right? I'm going to put this in here now, and you're going to see just kind of how this works. So I've given ChatGPT the information that I filled in on my evaluation. And now what it's going to do is it's going to start to analyze that data. Okay, so it's going to see right away, what went wrong, what went right. And you can see as it's starting to analyze each area of my business, I'm getting a pretty detailed report. Okay. And again, we're already going to set ourselves up for success in starting to look at what solutions are there to the problems. What are we not going to do again in the future? And what needs to change? What needs to be looked at or improved? All right. So again, it's going to give us the top 3 lessons learned. Accurate time cost estimation is critical. Quality checks during the project can prevent rework. Strong relationships with suppliers can impact project's timeline. Okay. And it's going to give us some recommendations. All right. Really, really, helpful. And I'll put it to you like this. We started using these and I was very, very surprised at how this information, as I collected it over time, because we use the same prompt, the same automation, so that the ChatGPT is actually learning every time I submit one of these, what's going on in my business. So I'll give you a good example of how it's been successful for us in a couple of areas. One, what was most surprising to me is that we have a couple of different vans. And one of the data points that we share with ChatGPT is our mileage, our guys' mileage, how much drive time they had, so on and so forth. ChatGPT actually asked for the make and models of each of our trucks, okay? And what it was able to figure out for us is that if we were to move a van from one crew to the other, we would save roughly about $1,000 per month. And I was blown away because I had never even thought of that. And it turned out just because of the engine size and how much traveling they were doing, it actually made a lot more sense to have the van switched. They're the same vans, but in my mind, but not realizing one had a different engine configuration. And it was really kind of powerful for me to see that because, again, we're always looking for ways to save, looking for ways to improve performance, and we've been doing this for quite some time. We have one of our core values is continuous improvement. And this is taking it to some next levels. So what we're looking at is basically your first evaluation. And as you can see, as we go through this document, it's giving us some very good insights. For most guys, this is going to be things, that you may or may not know, but it's going to make it really clear. As you start to accumulate these, though, That's where you're really going to see a tremendous difference in performance. Now, I'll tell you the real secret sauce to this, guys. I have a second prompt that I'm going to run, all right? Because it's not enough if you just know it, okay? It's a team game, all right? So I built a second prompt, and I give my guys a performance report, okay? Changing the financial numbers, but I give them a performance report that turns into an email, and I send it out. Actually, the way we have it automated, it automatically gets sent out to the team at the end of every single job. And I'm telling you, one of the smartest business decisions I've made in a long time, because for two things. Number one is it's not me scolding my guys. It's not a micromanaged process where I'm coming waving my finger and telling them all the things they did wrong. And, it's very intelligent in the way that they've developed this. It gets developed in this platform. And again, it allows me to look at my guys and say, hey, listen, you know what? This wasn't me, and there was no bias involved with this. This is literally, what's being analyzed by the numbers. Okay. So again, our team has really taken this well, and that, it doesn't feel like they're being scolded. And what I've seen is guys that maybe were underperforming all of a sudden now have we always did have performance evaluations, but we were struggling with the traditional evaluation for the simple reason a lot of them don't work because it's bias, it's opinion, it's, your supervisors doing them, if they're doing them properly at all. Doing them job by job made a lot more sense for us. And now you can see, again, it doesn't share any financial numbers, okay? It gives a full analysis of what went right, what went wrong, and it sends this email out to them at the end of every job. So everybody on that crew gets one of these performance reviews, like a report card, okay? And the most beautiful thing, and how I've been able to save 21.86%, all right? That's massive. We are doing, roughly about 15 million we're going to hit this year. To save 21.86% is unbelievable, okay? And to put that into perspective, again, it's like doubling your profits. Well, quarter up your profits. It's like finding money. And the better part about it, the thing that I really want to stress, is it didn't take me more time. It didn't take me a lot of brain power and energy to do, but it went into the business. And what it's done is basically, again, it's acted as a very strong project manager. And it's having the guys actually respond super well to it. And there's really, again, at the end of the day, good high performers want to have those black and white answers. Either they did or they didn't, right? They know there's no bias. They know there's no human that's, standing in their way of, coming up the ladder in our business, which has been really, really helpful in removing some of the politics. For smaller guys, guys that are even doing their own jobs, wouldn't you like to know where you could have made some improvements? So, this works for anybody and everybody, okay? So again, all we do, and if just to keep things simple on this training, I didn't go into how we automated this and how we pulled data and everything else. If you want to know more about that, I would strongly recommend that you book a call with me or my team, and we'll help you with that. It's very technical and it gets overwhelming. I don't want this to be overwhelming. I want you to immediately try it. If you just fill out the one form and put a job through, you're going to see immediate results. You're going to see immediate information that's going to be useful in making data-driven decisions, okay? So guys, I hope you got some value from this training. And just as a little bonus and some appreciation for guys out there that maybe don't have fully structured, I've included some, end SOPs, all right? This is, free for you guys to take, for you guys to use. And I'm going to give you all of this for nothing, including the training in my time. And all I would like you to do is, if you got some value from this today and you put this into place, I'd like you to share your wins in one of our communities, either school or Facebook. Let everyone else know, that we're really working on practical things here and that are getting real world results. So if you win, If you got a result, hey, it's all valuable in getting the community involved with, what AI can do for your business. Really taking the stigma away that it's a Terminator or anything like that. I want to show you how to actually use it in a contracting business. Like we use it in our contracting business every single day, and really start to come up with some, easy strategies going to make your life easier and protect your business from other people using AI. And as a final note, for anybody that's on the fence about AI, I want to say this. It's not meant to scare anybody or anything like this, but it's, a lot of fear going around and misinformation. But, I've heard it said more than once that, AI is going to replace a lot of jobs and a lot of people. And, I think we can all admit as contractors, it's not going to take away jobs from contractors for a long time. In fact, there's never been a better opportunity because, yes, it's taking jobs from, tech companies and lots of other places. But there's one common thing that I've seen is, contracting being labor shortages and all the challenges that we had. It's looking very positive over the next period of time. And the only companies that have to be concerned about AI taking them out is the company's not using it. Okay. So it's not going to be a company, or it's not going to be AI that directly takes you out or that causes you harm or that, it hurts your business. It's going to be somebody using AI to be more efficient, to be smarter, and, to work, faster and to get further with their time than you can. So it's not going to be AI directly that takes you out or makes your life hard. It's going to be a company using AI. So again, that's what this community is about. That's what I've made it my mission to make sure that everybody has a very good opportunity to take these tools, implement them. As you can see, I was probably less than 4 or 5 clicks there, and I've gotten something very useful and practical. All right. So again, guys, I'm Jay. I'm from Contractor AI. Hope you got some value from this training today, and we will see you soon.